More information about investing is available in the NPR Video Library of Personal Finance. To order this DVD set, call 1-800-PLAY-PBS or visit online at shoppbs.org.
We are PBS.
Tonight on West Virginia PBS.
America is locked in a global economic race.
We need to have an infrastructure in our country that allows our kids to compete globally.
And its outcome will depend largely on our schools.
You're up all night thinking, oh my gosh, what did I not cover? What are the depth?
Where We Stand takes a hard look at the most pressing issues in education.
This is about all of our schools and where they stand.
Tonight at 8 p.m.
PBS is the place you should go first.
There are no advertisers to be satisfied, only an audience to be satisfied.
We take our responsibility as journalists very seriously. We are constantly thinking about our viewers and what they care about.
We want to let you know what the information is, and then you decide what you want to think.
At the NewsHour, we are after the facts and only the facts.
Henry Louis Gates Jr. sets out to find the real Abraham Lincoln.
It's a detective story, it's a mystery, it's a journey.
And make some surprising discoveries.
Those are the stories that I will toss you out of my tavern.
You can't defend Lincoln without defending slavery.
He was able to stand his ground and fight hard for what he believed in.
Looking for Lincoln.
Tune in Wednesday night at 9 p.m.
Are you tired of news programs having more hype than substance? Then turn to Outlook for a different perspective. A new twist, a lesson learned.
Look, we're going to try to do something about it. She's not dead yet, and I'm not dead yet.
We have too many places to watch, frankly, to watch everything that goes on in this state.
Be more engaged with Outlook, a reflection of our place, our time, and our people.
Thursday night at 9 p.m.
Want to know what's showing on West Virginia PBS? You can check out our television schedule online at wvpodcast.org.
Next time on MI5.
We believe he's organizing race riots across the country.
To infiltrate a ruthless terror ring, the team goes undercover.
I'll need a wife.
Shouldn't have thought that's too difficult. Dishy catch like you.
What does your boyfriend do again?
He's my husband.
But when their cover is blown, you won't believe what happens next on MI5.
Tune in Friday night at 10 p.m.
You're watching West Virginia PBS.
Good evening and welcome to West Virginia Public Broadcasting's live coverage of Governor Joe Manchin's State of the State Address. I'm Beth Voorhees. The State of the State Address has become the traditional pep talk to the state legislators and other officials here in the chamber. It's time to applaud past accomplishments. It's time to celebrate the fact that West Virginia is only one of 4 states without a budget deficit this year. But all of this good news is mired in bad. Workers have been laid off by the hundreds in West Virginia. The glass factories, steel mills, aluminum plants, coal mines, retail stores, hospitals, and hotels. It seems more announcements come every day. But the governor has said this is also a time for opportunity. Skilled workers are available, he says, and the business and manufacturing communities will take notice, and he will see that they do. Following the address, the Republican Party will respond. I'll talk live with minority leaders Senator Dawn Carruth and Delegate Tim Armstead. Let's go now to Sergeant at Arms O. Smith, who is introducing the governor. We'll go live to the sounds of the State of the State Address at the state capitol in Charleston.
Mr. Speaker, we're simultaneously pleased and proud to announce the arrival of the governor and his party
the Honorable Joe Manchin III.
Speaker, Mr. President, it makes it this much prouder for me to present a Marion County favorite son, but consequently, pursuant to an invitation of the legislature, it's my extreme pleasure to present His Excellency, the Governor, the Honorable Joe Manchin III, for the purpose of addressing the Joint Assembly, along with his lovely First Lady, Ms. Gail Conley Manchin.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Senate President and I present to you the Governor of the great state of West Virginia, the Honorable Joe Manchin III. Yes, and please see.
Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, members of the Board of Public Works, justices of the Supreme Court of Appeals, members of the legislature, distinguished guests, and my fellow West Virginians. I am truly privileged that the people of West Virginia have given me the opportunity to stand once more before you and deliver my fifth State of the State address. I'm honored and humbled by the faith you have placed in me and my administration, and most importantly, I'm eager to get back to work. Tonight, as is tradition, I will report on the progress West Virginia has made, and I will also talk about where we need to be headed. But it would be unrealistic for me to not first acknowledge the rough economic times our nation and state are facing and the great challenges those times have created. We are experiencing a global economic transformation. Some even call it a financial meltdown. It is one of the most dramatic economic downturns since the Great Depression, and all of us, directly or indirectly, are dealing with its effects. However, while I am certainly concerned, I am not scared. West Virginia has faced tough times before, and we know better than most how to prepare for and overcome challenging times. When I first took office 4 years ago, the outlook for our state was daunting. Some thought they would never see significant changes in their lifetimes. However, we came together and tackled our problems head on. We committed to running a fiscally disciplined, responsible government, and together, we turned many of those challenges into opportunities. One of the biggest issues we faced was our state's crippling debt. As I have said before, unmanaged debt will make a coward of us all when it's time to make decisions and act responsibly. Our commitment to paying down pension debt and unfunded liabilities during the past 4 years has saved literally billions of dollars. In addition, if we had not been proactive and put additional appropriations towards our teachers' retirement debt in particular, with the financial market as it is today, we would have had to put an additional $250 million in our 2011 budget and do it for the next 23 years after that just to meet our teachers' pension obligations. And they tell me that our nation's financial conditions could even get worse. This is why our work to pay down our debt is so important. We have also had record state revenue collections for 3 years in a row, which has led us to tremendously outperform our budget forecast. This happened based on the confidence in our state that citizens and investors gain, due not only to our commitment to pay down debt, but also our efforts to tackle our outdated workers' comp system, institute insurance reforms, and reduce our state tax load on both individuals and businesses, something that we're looking to do more of in the future. Because of these responsible actions, we were able to provide more than $300 million in well-deserved pay increases 4 years in a row for our teachers and our state employees. This is the largest commitment to salary increases during a 4-year term in the history of our state. In addition, as part of their standard incremental pay package, all West Virginia teachers with between 1 and 35 years of service will have their salaries automatically increased this year by a minimum of $587. We've also improved our business climate. Since 2005, more than 200 companies have located or expanded here, and together they have invested $8.6 billion in the Mountain State. We're also shipping more West Virginia-made products around the globe than ever before. Last year, West Virginia exports grew 41% to $5.6 billion, outpacing the national rate by 12%. That's $1.7 billion more than in 2007. But let me make it very clear. Tougher times are ahead. While we are in better financial shape than our neighbors, West Virginia is not immune to the national and global economy. Everyone is understandably concerned about their jobs and about their families. These may be the most challenging times we have ever faced. We've witnessed layoffs and shutdowns at our plants, and we've watched in sadness as some of our retailers have had to close their doors. We must be more diligent than ever before. The hard work is not over. It has truly just begun. We did what needed to be done, and it put us in better situation than many other states. Our next move is up to all of us. Do we remain focused and disciplined with a strong vision, or do we throw caution to the wind and bet on this economy turning around quickly? After 4 years, you know the latter is not my style. As I said in my inaugural address, it's time to do what West Virginians do best. Let's roll up our sleeves and get to work. When others have said, that can't be done, we've done it. And you know what? We'll do it again. The legislative agenda I present tonight is a responsible one that will continue to create confidence in our state and solidify our standing in the marketplace. When I became your governor in 2005, for the first time, our budget team shared 5-year forecasts with our legislators, because I thought it was critical for all of us to look at the future, to see what challenges we will face. That principle has served us well. Today we are in a planning mode, not a panic mode. And while I know we will face more challenging times, I have no plans during this coming budget year to cut essential government services. I also have no plans to unnecessarily increase our state budget or expand the size of state government. We've been very disciplined, and under my watch, we will not write checks our children can't cash. Many other states are facing employee furloughs, cuts to essential government services, cuts in education budgets, and tax increases. That is why I cannot include any base building salary increases in this year's budget. I will, however, ask for the ability to share any additional money that we may have with our teachers, service personnel, and our state employees, if financial conditions improve enough for us to afford to do so. If we do not follow through on a continued responsible spending plan that I am submitting to you, we will not be able to manage our balanced budget without extreme cuts. We must follow this financial plan to continue to operate government in the way our citizens expect and deserve. One of the world's most pressing issues is a growing demand for energy. Our nation needs West Virginia's energy resources to climb out of this recession. The opportunity for us to take the world stage in new energy development is now. Companies from around the globe are prepared to invest in West Virginia to make this kind of development a reality. If we want to be a leader in renewable resources, we must commit to investing in the energy sources of the future. Throughout our history, our state has powered this nation. West Virginians know energy better than anyone. We must build upon our past successes and uncover even more efficient and cleaner energy sources. That means not just coal, but natural gas and renewable resources, including wind, solar, hydro, and biofuels. Tonight, I am introducing a bill called the Alternative and Renewable Energy Portfolio Act, which will put West Virginia at the forefront of new energy development. It sets a realistic time frame for us to develop alternative and renewable energy resources. Beginning in 2015, at least 10% of the electric energy sold to electric customers must be generated by alternative or renewable energy sources. And by 2025, we will require that 25% of electricity sold in West Virginia must be generated from alternative or renewable energy facilities. Our bill will provide incentives to locate new alternative energy facilities in West Virginia, which will encourage the development of renewable energy resources and create jobs in the Mountain State. This is within reach. This is within reach. With the growth of wind technology, by recycling waste heat from our industrial facilities, by cultivating biofuels like switchgrass, by harnessing the power of our rivers and the sun, and by expanding our clean coal efforts, we can meet our energy needs, create new jobs, and improve our environment at the same time. Electricity doesn't always come from the power plant. Today we have the technology to generate electricity at our homes and businesses, but there has been little incentive to invest in this technology because there is no way to get credit for the power you return to the electric grid. My alternative and renewable energy bill will also require electric utility companies to provide net metering to residential, small business, and industrial customers who generate their own electricity. This bill also requires the Public Service Commission to expand the availability of net metering to West Virginia electric customers. It will encourage private investments in renewable energy sources, including solar, wind, biomass, hydropower, waste heat recovery, and even landfill gas. It is another step toward expanding our state's energy portfolio. We must also continue to keep in perspective the energy resources and technology we are using today. We can't simply abandon the way we live and generate electricity, but we must find newer and cleaner ways to produce energy with the abundance of resources we already have. It will take investment in research. We are on the verge of discovering cleaner, greener ways to use coal, and we can continue to be a low-cost producer of energy if we believe in ourselves and embrace our energy expertise. There's been a lot of debate about clean coal technology, whether you agree or disagree with the concept. One thing is certain. We can improve the way we use coal and reduce the carbon that is released into the atmosphere. One new technology that is promised is carbon capturing. West Virginia can be at the forefront of this experimental method of capturing the carbon dioxide that comes from burning fossil fuels by finding ways to add value to this waste stream. This week I will present a bill that will allow for permits for carbon sequestration projects. It will establish regulations for monitoring carbon sequestration sites and clarify ownership of the space in which the carbon is stored. Carbon sequestration is not the only solution to controlling power plant emissions, but we should explore its potential. Energy independence must move from talk to action, and these proposals do just that. By broadening our definition of energy beyond just fossil fuels, we position ourselves to continue to producing the nation's energy by any and all means. These are all first steps that build on my vision for energy independence. They open the door to the future of new energy development in the Mountain State. We must also continue our mine safety efforts. We now have more than 40,000 new self-contained self-rescuers in our underground mines. About 225 emergency mine shelters are in place and more on the way. We hope to have the rest in place by the second quarter of this year. We're implementing advanced communication and tracking systems so we never face the situation we did at Sago and Aracoma. Not knowing where our trapped miners were located and putting our rescuers in more danger. And we continue to be vigilant in inspecting our mines to ensure they meet our more stringent safety standards. We have added more inspectors and safety instructors, and we also created our increased our mine inspector salaries so we can retain qualified staff. We required foremen and fire bosses to undergo additional training and made it easier to shut down problem mines. We will continue to face challenges in this demanding industry, but let me assure you, our mission is still to protect every miner so that he or she will return home safely to their families every day. While our work to make our mines safer continues, we must also carry those lessons to the rest of our manufacturing industries to help make all of our industrial workplaces safer. One night last August, here in the Kanawha Valley, the sky glowed orange after an explosion and fire at one of our chemical plants. In the critical hours after the explosion, we had a lot of unanswered questions that left residents throughout the valley scared and wondering exactly what to do. We lost 2 longtime plant workers because of that accident. Our thoughts and prayers remain with their families tonight. On that night, though, we could have lost even more, had it not been for the quick action by plant management and employees and an emergency containment system that prevented potential catastrophe. While plant emergency crews and company officials were working to control the situation, for too long our own emergency teams did not have access to the plant or the information they needed to respond or share with the public. That cannot happen again. That's why I'm submitting a bill that will require all industrial plants within our state to follow the same reporting guidelines for major accidents as our mine operators. The bill will require industrial facilities to provide access to emergency response officials and will establish a system of communication to our responders. It'll have the important information they need to ensure public health and safety. I said earlier that it's time to roll up our sleeves and get back to work. However, none of that work can be done unless we have an educated workforce. The jobs of the future will not go to the places with the richest land or the most abundant resources, but the places with the richest minds. We're in a different world than we were even 10 years ago. We are competing for jobs in companies, not just with other states, but with countries around the world. As a nation, we are in danger of falling far behind the countries that just a few years ago looked to our education system as their model. We must do a better job of educating our children, starting from the ground up. From preschool through college, we've got to change. One change we can make immediately is to allow more flexibility in our school calendar. We currently require our children to attend school 180 days a year, yet we also mandate specific dates for the school year to start and end. Because of those very specific start and end dates, due to weather and other issues, many of our counties do not meet the 180-day requirement. So tonight, I am presenting a simple fix that will help ensure that all students receive 180 days of instruction by extending the school calendar on both ends. The bill will require county school systems to begin the instructional term 5 days earlier and will give schools the flexibility to extend the calendar if necessary to meet the 180-day requirement. We are truly blessed to have great professional educators who teach, not just because it is their job, but because it is their passion. I firmly believe that to be an effective educator, you must have a passion for what you're teaching, so that the children you influence are inspired and share that passion. West Virginia is fortunate to have great educators like Mary Lou Hutchins, our 2009 West Virginia Teacher of the Year. Mary Lou is a first-grade teacher at Ohio County Steenrod Elementary School and also is co-chairwoman of a task force with our 21st Century Jobs Cabinet. The group called Partners has worked diligently on our Bill of Rights and Responsibilities for Learning initiative, which outlines the shared responsibilities for safe and productive classrooms. Teachers like Mary Lou energize their classrooms and challenge their students to discover the joy of learning. Mary Lou, will you please stand so we can say thank you and recognize you properly? I also want to thank and acknowledge Toyota Motor Manufacturing Company and Mountain State Blue Cross and Blue Shield for supporting our state's Teacher of the Year program. Good teachers are the heart of a quality education, but we must give our teachers and school systems the resources, the curriculum, and the freedom to try innovative approaches to the 21st century learning. Every school community has unique needs, and the people who know how best to meet those needs are not always here in Charleston. That's why I've joined with the State Department of Education in formulating a bill that will give our schools the flexibility they need to meet the needs of a diverse learners. The School Innovation Zones bill will give teachers, principals, and school communities greater control over critical education factors that affect students' achievement. The bill will allow school staff to implement improvement strategies that currently are restrained by State Board of Education policies or antiquated state law. In addition to being innovative and creative, we also need to refocus on some basic principles of learning. For dozens of years, we have evaluated our children's educational competency at critical grade levels through statewide testing. The data is helpful, but we should use that information to keep our children from being prematurely promoted to the next grade level. Unfortunately, many students don't meet the proficiency requirements in subject areas such as reading and math, and our school systems sometimes lack the necessary resources and capacity to address these deficiencies within the current school calendar. Therefore, in cooperation again with the Department of Education, I am proposing tonight that if our children do not meet the educational standards we set at their 3rd grade and 8th grade levels, 2 of the most critical periods in their educational development, then they cannot move on. Until they meet those required educational standards, either through after-school programs, attending summer school, or being retained for another year. This bill also engages the most critical factor in the learning process, the parent. A structural statewide program will provide the extra help and time many students need to master the rigorous content and 21st century skills needed for future success in the global economy. This program is so important that we have directed additional resources to ensure its success. These carefully developed support programs will help our children learn the math and language skills they need to succeed at the next grade level. We can no longer allow children who do not have the critical skill sets they require to advance to the next level. It is unfair to their parents, it is unfair to their classmates, and most of all, it is unfair to them. We also have a tremendous workforce resource in our veterans. Those who have served our country have more than earned the right to further their education once they return to civilian life. It's not just the responsible thing to do, it's the right thing to do to move West Virginia ahead. In addition to the skills and knowledge they gain in the armed forces, our servicemen and servicewomen can build the quality of our workforce by attaining college degrees. Time and again, we have discussed ways to add strength and depth to the teaching ranks in West Virginia. With the Troops to Teachers program, West Virginia has seized an excellent opportunity to provide our brave veterans the chance to add value to our classrooms. Veterans bring leadership and experience to our classrooms and their students. They are excellent role models, and I am confident they will help us educate our young people and prepare them with the skills they need to compete in today's global economy. I'd like to recognize one of our Troops to Teachers that is with us tonight, Stefan Smolsky. Stefan is a retired Naval Flight Officer who teaches physics and biology at Oak Glen High School in Hancock County. He also He also serves as a state mentor for others who want to join the Troops to Teachers program. Stephen, will you please stand so that we can say thank you? On behalf of all of us, Stephen, let me say thank you, and to all of our veterans who've turned teachers, who are bringing a new dimension of learning to our classrooms. I also want to make sure our nation's veterans know they are welcome at West Virginia's colleges and universities. West Virginia has a long history of valuing and encouraging its citizens who have served in our armed forces, whether in our National Guard units, in reserve components, or in our nation's regular military services. Now, we have an opportunity to extend our appreciation to all of our country's veterans, and at the same time, to attract them to come to West Virginia to learn, to work, and to live. Last year, Congress enacted what's known as the new GI Bill. It pays for veterans' tuition up to the highest in-state undergraduate rate at our public colleges. However, veterans' actual tuition and fees often exceed that amount if they are out-of-state residents. I am proposing legislation that will require each of our public colleges and universities to participate in the new GI Bill's Yellow Ribbon program. That will allow veterans from out-of-state to attend our public colleges and universities at the in-state rates. Schools would be free to participate for graduate and professional students as well if they choose. This is another way we can say thank you to our veterans and attract more of them to West Virginia. And finally, we will fix the veterans' pension system for state workers so that every state employee who is put on a uniform to defend our country will truly be treated fairly. They say that one of the ways you can judge the true progress of a society is by the way it treats its children, who also happen to be our future workers. While there's a lot more work to do, I am proud to say we are taking care of our children's health needs. Beginning on January 1st of this year, the West Virginia Children's Health Insurance Program, known as CHIPS, expanded its coverage to more children by increasing the upper income level from 220% to 250% of the federal poverty level. The bottom line is this: we will continue to move forward to ensure and protect every child in West Virginia. We've recognized the growing problem of childhood obesity and now require our kids to take physical education classes at school, and the schools must also provide healthier food choices in their vending machines. According to data gathered through Cardiac Project, last year, for the first time, West Virginia saw a decline in childhood obesity. This is something we all should be proud of. In fact, it was the greatest decline in youth obesity in the entire nation. Our efforts to increase awareness of the dangers of obesity and encourage healthy lifestyles for our children are paying off. We have a long way to go, but we are seeing positive results. 2 years ago, the Healthy Lifestyles Coalition joined with the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation and the Benedum Foundation to evaluate the impact of our 2005 Healthy Lifestyles Act, which was passed to address our state's obesity problem. Just yesterday, we received a report made possible through grants from these foundations. The results show that our efforts to improve the health of our children are on the right track. I would like to recognize Laura Leviton from the Robert Woods Johnson Foundation and Beverly Robinson from the Claude Worthington Benedum Foundation, who have made this ongoing study possible by paying for it, and say thank you. Would they please rise so we can thank them? And today I am presenting a proposal to improve access to dental care for our families who cannot afford visits to the dentist. This one-time expenditure will help to buy dentistry equipment for our primary care clinics. I'm also asking for our state's dentists to support this effort by volunteering 1 day a month at our primary care clinics. This investment will improve oral health for our most vulnerable citizens and strengthen the existing community health center networks. We'll place a priority on geographical areas designated as dental health professions shortage areas and ones with an existing community health center. Our workforce may be the best in the nation, but we cannot compete if we are not well. We have to have a healthy workforce if we expect to build a healthy economy. So we must today pledge to continue our efforts to make all West Virginians healthier. We need to start by embracing advances in healthcare technology, including electronic health records and telehealth applications. West Virginia will continue to be a national leader in using information technology to transform our healthcare systems. We are also going to increase our efforts to detect and prosecute medical fraud. Beyond just insurance, this goes way beyond insurance to all other forms of health care coverage. In addition, I also strongly believe that we have a responsibility to provide more access to affordable health care for all working West Virginians. Tens of thousands of West Virginians go to work each day to provide for themselves and their families, yet they cannot afford to go to the doctor for regular checkups because they have no health insurance. This must change. We must provide more options to our citizens, especially in this time of economic hardship for so many workers and their families. I have asked our Insurance Commissioner, Jane Klein, to work with insurance carriers to establish new, affordable benefit packages that will increase coverage options for those unable to afford the insurance products that are currently available. The Insurance Commissioner will design new coverage plans that promote healthy lifestyles and reward personal responsibility. These affordable plans will emphasize preventive care and catastrophic coverage. Insurance carriers will be able to offer competitive pricing on these plans so that consumers have as much choice as possible. The Insurance Commissioner also will develop a website where individuals and businesses can obtain information on existing insurance options so they can become informed consumers. In addition, I want to take a truly meaningful step toward ensuring West Virginia's working poor. Those who are trying hard every day to make a better life for themselves, but who just haven't been able to make enough money to even think about paying for health care. They often wait until they're critically ill before seeking medical treatment, so they end up in emergency rooms in hospitals. That adds to the unmanaged care bills that increase everyone's health care expenses. Currently, West Virginia covers a smaller percentage of eligible working people under our Medicaid system than all but 2 other states. While federal Medicaid eligibility is set at 100% of the federal poverty level, West Virginia only covers Medicaid eligible parents who make less than 35% of the poverty level. That is less than $6,160 per year and we don't even cover single members of the working poor at all. We need to change that. If we are to help the low-income working West Virginians move towards better-paying jobs with health care, we must change now. To that end, I have asked our Medicaid office to apply for a federal waiver to design a program of basic medical and preventive care coverage using the medical home concept that has worked well for the agency in the past. We will first use this program to expand health care coverage for working West Virginians, both individuals and parents whose salaries are at or below at 50% of the federal poverty level. But our goal is not to stop at 50%. We're going all the way to 100% of the working poor in West Virginia. This is such an important step towards addressing our state's growing health care concerns and unmanaged health care costs that, if necessary, in the future, I will propose an increase in our state's cigarette tax to pay for its continuation. However, as I've said before, the first bill I will present to the legislature tomorrow will close the pension loophole that allows any kind of public pensions, judicial or otherwise, to be double-dipped. It will ensure that no retiring public official can be reelected or reappointed to the same position within 1 year of his or her retirement. Now, this does not preclude someone from running for the same public office again, but it does require ample notification of retirement to give someone else a fair chance to run against them. There is one other significant area that involves judges, which must also be addressed if we are to truly show that we're willing to tackle West Virginia's perceived challenges: legal reform. We must not let partisan politics prevent us from openly and honestly evaluating our judicial system, which, justified or unjustified, has been under attack. Instead, we should objectively examine the structural aspects of our court system. Our Supreme Court of Appeals is the busiest appellate court of its kind in the entire country. Yet West Virginia is one of only 10 states that lacks an intermediate appellate court of some kind. We are one of only 7 states that use partisan elections to select every member of its judiciary. And year after year, the growing responsibilities of the judicial branch have led to a corresponding increase in the court's budget. That is why I'm going to sign an executive order that creates a commission to immediately begin studying how we can modernize our state court system. This commission will be directed to look at all options, including creating an intermediate court, improving the judicial budget process, achieving more transparency in our judicial election campaigns, as well as the best method for selecting judges. We will work with a broad group of people, including judges, legislators, and the private sector, to determine our next step in modernizing our judicial system. Four years ago, we set out on a mission to change the mindset about West Virginia. We first had to start from within and tackle our own naysayers. I think we've made a lot of believers out of those who were skeptical. We've also faced incredible challenges and have worked together to turn them into opportunities. That is the true mountaineer spirit. In recognition of that spirit and the lasting impression this state has on those who come here, during last year's State of the State address, I said that we were starting a new campaign to encourage native West Virginians living elsewhere to take another look at their home state. to see what has changed in the last few years. The Come Home to West Virginia program has generated a lot of excitement about what makes the Mountain State a great place to live, to work, and to raise a family. People from across the country are visiting our Come Home website to find jobs here and to read the stories about people who have recently come home. We want to bring former residents back home to work in our growing industries and encourage them to expand into West Virginia, the businesses they have started elsewhere. In addition, we want to make people feel confident about West Virginia and optimistic about the future of their home state by reminding them of all the good things happening here. Our program is succeeding. We've reached regional and national audiences with our promotions and positive media coverage, including a great article in the U.S. Airways in-flight magazines, an upcoming article in Newsweek magazine. On top of that, earlier today, I received a phone call from Bob Mazuka, Chief Scout Executive for the Boy Scouts of America, who shared some good news with me. After an exhaustive nationwide search, the Boy Scouts today took an important step towards selecting a southern West Virginia site as the location for a national high-adventure base for the Scouts. There's still a lot of work to be done before this is finalized. But the Scouts have decided that with some additional negotiations to come, West Virginia could be the perfect match for this permanent high-adventure facility, which will be one of a kind when completed. This project will draw thousands of Scouts and outdoor enthusiasts, both young and old, from across the nation and around the world for years to come. This facility will truly highlight the best of wild, wonderful West Virginia and provide us an unprecedented opportunity to showcase our state's beauty and heritage. But we also want people who were born in other places to come here as well, so that they too can call West Virginia home. Tonight, I'd like to recognize someone who symbolizes the power our state has to make people feel at home. This is someone who was not born a West Virginian, but in the last 4 years has become as true a West Virginian as you and I. He faced some pretty incredible challenges and stood up to take them head on. He did that while managing to break just about every record around, including becoming the first player in Big East history to reach and break the 10,000 total career yards mark, as well as earning the title of all-time highest rushing quarterback in NCAA history. He even set his own record by becoming the only quarterback in college football history to win 4 bowl games as a starter. And most recently, he was named the most valuable player of the Senior Bowl. He stuck with us through it all because, as he has said, once a Mountaineer, always a Mountaineer. Tonight, I am honored to have this person join us in this chamber. He is a great role model and someone who has proven what can be accomplished with vision backed by performance. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to stand and give this young man a rising welcome. Number 5, the amazing Mr. Pat White. Thank you, Pat. He's going to stick around for a little while so we can all say thank you personally. Thank you, Pat, for an incredible career at WVU. You will forever be remembered in West Virginia. No matter which path you take from here, we are all very proud of your achievements. But most importantly, Pat, the way you continue to represent our great state. And we'll all look forward to watching you on Sundays. You can be sure of that. Got so excited I knocked my mic off. Today there are more reasons than ever to return to or come home to West Virginia. And as a result, my vision for West Virginia is as bright as ever. And as Pat knows, vision backed by performance will deliver results. We now know that we can perform. Time and again we have proven that to be true. I promise you that the results will continue to be as rewarding as they have been in the last 4 years if we keep focused and stick together. So that is my challenge to all of you. Let's keep focused and stay disciplined. The job will not be easy, but we can do it. Together we will grow West Virginia's economy and create more jobs. Together we will make West Virginia healthier. Together we will open the doors of higher education to more West Virginians. Together we will teach our children the job skills they need to compete. Together we will lead the nation in the march towards energy independence and finding alternative energy sources. And together we will improve the way we mine and use our most valuable natural resources. Together we will make our workplaces safer. Together we will advance West Virginia's image around the world and bring our people back home. And together we will take even better care of our children, our seniors, and our veterans. Together we will continue to build a new West Virginia, and our mountaineer spirit will shine brighter than ever. Thank you, God bless you, and God save the state of West Virginia.
You've been tuned to live coverage of the State Address by Governor Joe Manchin. In a moment, we'll speak with the minority party about the governor's initiatives. The governor is making his way through the crowd now, shaking hands after this almost 50-minute speech, and he will exit the chamber. The governor has put forth a bold proposals for this legislative session. He proposes extending the school calendar at the beginning of the school year in August and at the end of the year in June, so that schools can get 180 instructional days as required by law. I note that the governor of Ohio has just made the same proposal and hasn't gone over too well in Ohio. We'll see how well it goes over in West Virginia. Proficiency tests for 3rd and 8th graders. They cannot move on and may have to take summer classes and may make those mandatory if 3rd and 8th graders are not at a proficient level. The governor talked at great length about the children's health care needs. He had promised a bold and aggressive health care agenda. He did propose a cigarette tax increase. He did not mention by how much. So we'll look for that bill to be introduced in the coming days and see what the governor has in plan for a cigarette tax increase. A good response about legal reform. The governor, by executive order, is creating a commission to work to modernize the justice system. As the governor is leaving here, he has Mountaineer Pat White with him, and they are shaking hands and greeting and taking some pictures. Certainly a great deal of excitement, as you can tell, when Pat White was introduced. While not said in his State of the State address, Governor Manchin has said that he wants to make sure that during this economic downturn, there's plenty of money in the Unemployment Compensation Fund. Other states are having difficulties keeping up with employment payments. The governor wants to make sure that what happened in the 1980s when the state was strapped for those funds doesn't happen again. And the governor is certainly a friend of coal, and he wants to see that this commodity is protected. Any renewable alternative energy portfolio will include coal, new uses for coal, new ways to clean it, new ways to burn it. The governor is indicating he's not reducing any state budgets. He is asking state agencies to look for efficiencies, and he isn't increasing any budgets either. And the governor, of course, wants to get more aggressive about health care and focus on wellness in West Virginia. Good news about the decline of youth obesity in the state. We'll discuss these issues and others with the minority party. A discussion with the Republican leaders of the House and Senate in just a moment.
Assembly is hereby dissolved. This is live continuing coverage of the governor's State of the State address. I'm Beth Voorhees. Joining me are two lawmakers who may have a different perspective on the state of our state from the governors. Senator Don Caruth of Mercer County, Delegate Tim Armstead of Kanawha County chair the Republican caucuses in their respective chambers. They are the minority leaders. Gentlemen, welcome. So glad you're here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Senator Caruth, I thought of you when the governor announced that by executive order, he was going to appoint a commission to look at legal reform in the state. This has been something the Republicans have been talking about for a long time. What was your reaction?
Well, it's something we've been talking about for a long time. We've actually enacted over the last several years some civil justice reforms. I think this is another great step. We're certainly in favor of the nonpartisan election of judges in West Virginia, and we've been advocating that for quite some time. We have to kind of take a look at the other part of the proposal having to do with Intermediate Court of Appeals. We want to make sure we don't expand rather than contract the lawsuit aspect of that we've addressed in the past.
Any questions about this commission? Who might sit on it? What might they look at? Anything like that? Any questions about that?
The only thing that strikes me is the governor did say there would be some legislators on the commission. There are more attorneys in the legislation now than there have been, I think, in a number of years. So I hope that either Leader Armstead or myself is involved because we have a lot of specific ideas about that.
And we'll get more into those specific ideas a little later in this session. Delegate Armstead, the House Republicans have unveiled their legislative agenda. Can you kind of give us what's on the list?
Well, certainly one of the most important things is to try to give some tax relief to our citizens. We understand that the citizens are really suffering under the current economic conditions. So we want to provide some tax relief for them and also one thing that was somewhat notably absent, I think, from this speech were incentives for job creation, for tax incentives for companies to create jobs. We'd like to see some acceleration of some of the tax reductions that we've been working on over the last couple of years, because we think this is a key time to really be able to do those types of things to help create jobs in West Virginia.
Regarding his energy policy, regarding the governor's energy policy, and he's talked about new jobs in renewable industries, hydroelectric, solar, wind. Can you back those? And according to experts, there are incentives already on the books that these industries could use and take advantage of. Do we need more?
Well, I think what we need to do is really emphasize our commitment to using the natural resources we have here in West Virginia. I don't know the nuts and bolts of this plan. I don't know exactly. Let's take that apart and look at it as it's introduced. But I do think we would like to see more emphasis put on energy, because it's a strength in West Virginia. And certainly in these economic times, we want to take advantage of what is our greatest strengths in West Virginia. Those are certainly coal, oil, natural gas, and the other biofuels. So I think we have a real strength there, and it would be foolish for us not to really try to take advantage of that.
And what else is on your legislative agenda?
Well, certainly the other things we would like to do is we have a proposal on the healthcare initiative regarding providing tax incentives and tax reductions for individuals to buy healthcare coverage and try to make that more available for individuals. We would also like to see we were glad to hear that the governor wants more flexibility in education. We think that's an important initiative that we'd like to see move forward. We're not sure we're going to be exactly on the same page, but we hope that we can work together on that. And also, we would like to see, in terms of social issues, an amendment to define marriage as a union of one man and one woman.
The governor said no tax increases, but yet I heard the words cigarette tax increase. Did you hear those words too?
I did hear those words, and again, that's something we're going to have to take a look at. He also mentioned pay increases if the revenues would bear that.
A bonus if the surplus is such a percent or something.
Which obviously would not occur. I wouldn't suspect the way he spoke until after the session, perhaps in a special session, once we see what the revenues are. But the cigarette tax, or any tax for many of us, is a hard thing to accept, simply because we've been so anti any increase in taxes, but particularly because we want the business climate in this state to flourish, and taxes are not necessarily the way to do that.
But he did propose no tax increases other than that cigarette tax increase. No tax decreases either, I understand.
And he didn't specifically propose a cigarette tax, but we certainly would have to take a look at that. I can't make a comment on that just after hearing him say that. But
so the Republicans in the Senate have their agenda ready yet?
Well, yes, we do, and it's as usual very close to the House agenda. We would like to increase the broadband in West Virginia, expand broadband, high-speed broadband, because we think that would be one of the things that would really improve the businesses in many areas of the state. We also have been saying for a number of years we need to focus on coal bed methane. We need to focus on clean coal technology. The state has simply got to become a partner in that process for it to ever happen, and that's the one thing that's been missing. The state really has not been supportive of that. We're very supportive, I think, of getting in by the year 2025, I think it was, to get to the point where we have 25% of our energy in alternative energy sources. That's a very laudable goal and very achievable. But in the meantime, we can't forget the fact that a primary source of revenue in this state is coal, and it's that coal that turns your light on when you flip the switch. It's very important to West Virginia.
I'll give you one more shot at it. Delegate Armstead, what do you think the state of the state is from your perspective?
Well, I think the wonderful thing we have is our wonderful people in this state. We have great natural resources. We have a lot of things going for us in West Virginia, and we do face challenges. These are serious challenges, but with what we have to work with, we have some great opportunities here. And I think one of the keys is getting more capital into the workforce, into the hands of our small businesses and our larger businesses, to try to create jobs so our people can stay here. People want to stay in West Virginia, and they want the opportunities to stay here, and I think it's our responsibility to do what we can to make sure they can.
Senator Cruth, I cannot let you go without asking you, what are you going to do about the turnpike tolls?
Well, that's high on my agenda also. We're very resistant to that. 3 basic reasons. Number one, as sort of second-class citizens in southern West Virginia, we not only pay the tolls, we also pay the same gasoline taxes that everybody else, and that money goes to other areas. And we've never been convinced that we couldn't draw down more federal dollars if we'd get rid of the tolls. We think there are a lot of advantages that I'm afraid the commissions that have studied this issue have never considered. Instead, all they do is seem to consider ways to raise the toll or reasons to raise the toll. And if their focus is that limited, that's with the conclusion they're going to get. So we'd like to see an expanded focus on what we can do with the turnpike in the long term other than just increase tolls.
Gentlemen, I know that we will be talking throughout this legislative session. As a matter of fact, we'll be talking next week with both of you. A lot more to think about and a lot more to say. Delegate Tim Armstead, Senator Don Caruth with the Republican response. Thank you very much. And this concludes our live coverage of the State of the State address and the Republican response. And this program reminder, the season premiere of the legislature today is Monday, February 16th. Governor Joe Manchin is our first guest. That's the legislature today, Monday night at 6:30 on West Virginia PBS. The legislature today will be on every evening during this legislative session. And listen for more about the governor's address tomorrow at 7:30 on West Virginia Morning on West Virginia Public Radio. I'm Beth Voorhees. Thanks for joining us, and good night.